even remember. Marion.
The Marriott is... Sorry. The Marriott is accessible. The Marriott is accessible.
The Marriott I'm worried about is the art school.
Oh, really?
Because my niece has just finished 3 years at university in graphic design, and on Friday afternoon between 5 and 7:30, his family viewing of her work.
Oh, wow.
So we're going there first. But I'm going to get into, I'm sure at Leeds College it's a new
Okay.
It will be. It absolutely will be.
Yeah, then we'll be arriving at 7:15.
Okay, it said.
Okay.
Oh, Em says you might be moving to Garforth.
Well, possibly.
Because I'm moving to Garforth as well. So we can do coffee,
We've already
can't we?
planned the whole night out and the day out together.
Yeah, well, we don't know, we won't know till June, so we can't get extra.
Well, fingers crossed, eh?
Sorry, Mum, I didn't mean to tell you.
Sorry. I forgot. Sorry, Em.
Sorry.
And then you'll be upset and then you have to tell everyone.
Well, let's keep everything crossed.
We're all moving.
We'll have a night out.
Absolutely.
All right, enjoy your day.
I can.
Oh, are you coming to the market?
I can see.
Have you?
I can see why you're lovely with a lovely mum, Em.
Yeah. I've got a brother as well.
Have you?
Yeah, he's
He's
getting...
lovely, isn't he?
Yeah.
Is he younger or older?
Older than
He's only
me.
40, she's getting married on the 8th of August. He's 40 on the 10th of August.
Wow.
But he's the most unorganised.
Yeah, he is.
Where's a man?
Dizzy piece of work.
It sounds like my brother, like he was going to Thailand for 2 months.
Can you drink some more, please?
Can I have a little drink, Em?
Yeah. Dom, this is my mum's soup.
There you go, lovely. Jump told it.
I asked Dom if it was wheelchair accessible.
Yeah, it is. It's just that we're...
There you go, lovely. I'll hold it as well and then it don't spill. Yeah?
We're gonna make a start in a minute. Can everyone take their seat? Hello? We're gonna start in a minute, so can everyone take their seats?
Got me to have a go.
Yeah. Just say that.
Good morning. We're just about to make a start, so can everybody take the seats, please?
They're not very loud, are they?
No.
These are a bit.
Who's that?
It's Gavin's mum.
Hiya, Hillary, how you doing?
All right, sweetheart. I think we're ready.
Okay. Where's Jimmy? I need Jimmy.
You don't need Jimmy. What do you do it for?
We're already running a bit late, so what?
So welcome, everybody.
Welcome everybody. Fantastic day. I hope you all enjoy it, and yeah, it's going to be a fantastic day.
And just a couple of the boring housekeeping. There is no fire alarm scheduled for this morning. So if the alarm does go off, if you want to leave by that door, and there will be people who will guide you where you need to be, so it's nothing to worry about. If anybody needs the toilet, if you go out of this door, turn right, through the doors at the end, and there are toilets on your left-hand side. So if anybody's struggling to find them, again, if you ask somebody outside, and somebody will be able to help you get to the toilet.
So, what? Now we're going to have questions.
Okay. So the questions are going to be answered by our panellists. And we have, just as a quickly introduce our panellists, we have Erica Ward, who's the Transport Accessibility Coordinator. We have Dominique Burley, who's a Senior Development Worker from Volition. Alison Conyers, it's a Lead Professional for Learning Disability. You can introduce someone.
Who is? And then we have Councillor Samuel Arif, Executive Board for Leeds City Council, PC Handler, Greenough, Police Crime for West Yorkshire.
Okay, so the first question is from Chris Carlton. Well, that's a fabulous start, isn't it? So the second question is from, and we'll come back to the first one, Bernie Spellman.
Turned me off. What can I do by doing so we can be supported after 5 p.m.
And before anyone answers, we have a limit of 3 minutes for each response.
Hi, and good morning. My name is Salma Arif. Thank you for the introduction there. I'll start with this question, if I may. First of all, I just want to say it's genuinely I'm really excited to be here. Normally we come here and we just shout at each other as politicians. So it's really nice to be here. It's the first time I'm here, and I can see there's a Gryffindor scarf in the room, so that's always a good sign for me. So yeah, look, to answer the question, so at Leeds City Council, as commissioners of support, we are clear with providers that there should be no restrictions to the times of support that are offered to individuals to meet their needs. This applies to all learning disability accommodation, providers of nursing care, residential care and supported living, as well as providers of community or outreach support. Indeed, the times of day, evening or night, that individuals with a learning disability need and wish to be supported can and should be expressed by them to their support provider. The support provider should then arrange a support at these times to facilitate going out and about, and it needs to be assessed as well, which of course includes support to access the community, socialise and of course be safe. Any concerns about this should be reported to the individual, to their support provider, and if not dealt with to a satisfactory level, to their care manager or social worker. And as I was introduced earlier, I am the exec member here at Leeds City Council, but that means I'm the exec member for adult social care, also leisure centres in the city, and just very recently I've been given the brief of culture as well. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Salma. Has that answered your question, Bernie?
Can you tell me, if you go out independently, what support can you get after 5 p.m?
Yeah, so what I can do is I can tell you a little bit about the Being Social group of the Learning Disabilities Partnership Board, which have a lot of information on out-of-hours activities. I don't have them on me at the moment, but if you go and have a look at that, it's got the information. And also the Connect in the North produce a booklet every year within Learning Disability Week. That also provides information in terms of additional support that's needed. Anything else I'm more than happy to support with.
Dominic, do you want to come in?
Yeah, it was just to build on the Being Social task group, because I know I'd also been a member of that, which Sarah and Kenny co-chair, and I think we've definitely spoke a lot about there being barriers in what can we do in terms of out of hours. So we know there's things like Pop World, I think there's also another club night, I think it's Glow Night or something like that, but we had been speaking a lot more about what support can people get, and we tried to put on an event in November last year around direct payments to let people know you could access support differently and what was the barriers in people getting those, because sometimes there might be activities, but we know some organisations don't offer a support worker, for example, after 5 p.m. So we have been making an easy read, frequently asked questions about direct payments and who you need to ask and who you need to find. So it's not perfect, it's a work in progress, but we was hoping that as a task group we can try and answer some of those questions about how do people get support after 5 p.m, especially if you're an independent person, you know, and we know not everyone always gets that much support even in the daytime for some of the people that we work with. So yeah, hopefully that it isn't an answer, but hopefully it tells you that we are working as a task group together to see what we can do in Leeds.
Thank you, Dominic, and I think it's testament to how poor our chairing skills are. We've run way over, but it's really important that people get the information they need. So I just want to bring Salma back in, if I may.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of things, really. Adult Social Care also fund 2 grants. The first one is the Home Farm Trust, which is keeping in touch service to enable people to stay in touch with friends, including on evenings. And the second one is People in Actions. This is something, again, the Adult Social Care Fund, which is it's a Changing Lives service, which offers 6 groups, some in the evening around in the city. There are also day opportunities that are on individual support plans that offer out-of-hours activity as well. For example, People in Action's Health and Wellbeing offer, which includes 2 in the city evening groups each week, as well as Come Dine With Me, which is also an evening group. Thank you.
Now I'm going to hand you over to Alan Hicks. Oh, Chris Charlton. Who's got a question?
The question what I would like to talk about is for transport, where you go on for proper transport all the time, where the buses don't give you a chance to have when the buses don't give you a chance to sit down when we're driving.
Chris, may I don't think that was your question. Jimmy's bringing the question you were asking just now.
Will you help us out?
Yeah, sure. Do you remember we wrote this a couple of weeks ago?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I think you said to Sarah at the time you wanted to ask this one.
Who?
When you spoke to Sarah, she said you wanted to ask that one.
What work can you remember?
Yeah, so it's can all staff in Leeds leisure centres go on learning disability awareness training?
Can our staff learn to be
In Leeds leisure centres
in Leeds leisure centres?
go on learning disability awareness training?
Go on and learning to be to wear this training.
Thank you, Chris. Don't know who wants to answer about the leisure centres.
Yeah, so I'll come on that again, Chair. So in terms of Leeds City Council, all of our active leads, so that's the leisure centres in the city team who work in the leisure centres, receive service-specific equality, diversity and inclusion training every year and adapt activities for people with disabilities where required. We can absolutely explore additional training specifically to learning disabilities. So if you have any recommendations, I'm happy to speak to you after this session, then we can speak to the officers in the service and then we can have a conversation as to how we can take that forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arif. Does anybody else want to come in? No?
To Alan Hicks, who's got a question. Alan, over to you.
My name's Alan Hicks. What has been done to improve the way some buses drivers treat people with learning disabilities?
Thanks, Alan. That's a really great question. My name's Erica. I work for West Yorkshire Combined Authority and I've got a couple of things that I can talk about here. But then I might also hand over to some colleagues who are sat in front of me from First Bus who might be able to add to that. One of the first things is, just last year we introduced the Orange Travel Wallet scheme. The idea is that you can put your disabled person's travel pass in the wallet and when you get on the bus drivers will see the wallet and know straight away that you might have a disability or a non-visible disability and that you might need a bit more patience or a bit more support or a bit more time when travelling. And for Chris's question as well, they might be more aware that you need a bit more time to get sat down before the bus sets off. Along with those, we've also got these travel assistance cards and they've got messages on them. So different messages like, please be patient, I have a hidden disability, or please wait for me to sit down. You can cut those cards out and they can go in the orange travel wallet. And again, it's just a way of showing the driver what assistance you might need. Just the other thing to add to that as well is we've been working with David and Bernie and Kenny and the other travel ambassadors, and we're looking at creating some short video clips for bus drivers to do some driver training around learning disability awareness as well. So that's something that we started working on and that should be happening later this year. Thank you.
Has that answered your question, Alan? Thank you.
Thank you. I've noticed some people are gesturing that they want to speak, but there is going to be a section where people can ask questions. So, no, but there's going to be a section, Phil, and then you can, don't be sorry, but there's going to be a section for you to do that. So question number 4 is Kenneth Fletcher.
What excuse me, what can we make sure wheelchair users have priority over people with pushchairs or prams or pushchairs on buses? Because I sometimes, because obviously you see me in a wheelchair, I'm not fully in a wheelchair because I broke my hip last year, but I have noticed that when you go, even when I went to Manchester, that's going off it a bit, but when I went to Manchester, people were just so rude, because when I went on the tram in Manchester, I asked this guy to move, and he grumbled and went, "Do I have to move for a wheelchair?" I went, "Yeah, you do." So he moved in the end, but he grudged about it, and I just think even on buses in Leeds, I think that people argue about moving or actually giving priority to people who actually need it. They just would rather leave the buggy there, even with no kid in it.
Thank you, Kenneth. I don't know who would like to take that.
Thank you, Chair. I'll take that. My name is Richard Harris, and I'm with First Bus in West Yorkshire. Kenneth, thanks for that question. And I think the first thing I'd say that certainly we'd all agree that as public transport operators, one of our hopes is that with all customers who travel with us every day, that would show courtesy and where necessary compassion to fellow passengers and move to enable both the use of priority seats in that sense on the bus and certainly the wheelchair space. As you know, that we have a designated wheelchair space on all our buses, which complies to regulations that are required for that. And in respect of our drivers, if that wheelchair space is occupied by buggy and pram users, the drivers will ask customers to please vacate that space or to fold up their buggy to move down the bus. And obviously we hope that customers will comply with that and appreciate that, you know, there's a customer with mobility needs wheelchair access to get onto the bus. But that's, in that sense, that's all our drivers can do, is rely on the customers to do so, because drivers are not able to be leaving the cab to, in that sense, police that aspect of it, because of course their role is to ensure that people can travel safely. One thing I would also just add on the accessibility onto the buses, our drivers are all trained in the use of the ramps for enabling easier wheelchair access onto the bus, and then obviously we'll get out of the cab at a stop to assist a customer in a wheelchair. And also, I think this goes back around 6 years or so now, we've been working with disability groups, particularly here in Leeds actually, to help us with looking at wheelchair access onto our vehicles. And in fact, the majority of our fleet now in Leeds, since we invested in new buses in Leeds with the Leeds City branding on them, the bright green ones, they're a bus from a manufacturer called Right Bus. And actually through working with disability groups in Leeds, we actually changed the design of a hand pole inside that bus to make access into the wheelchair space easier for our customers. And in fact, that's now a standard specification on all of our buses in Leeds, and that includes the new electric buses that we launched recently in March that operate from our Bramley depot. That's the same vehicle type, it just happens to be an electric bus, but it's exactly the same.
Thank you. Can I just add something to that? And the wheelchair space on the bus is really tiny. And the thing I don't like about it is the pole always gets in the way. So I don't know what you're going to do about that. But will you take that back from me?
Yes, certainly. I mean, as I say, obviously what we've done already with that bus design is obviously working with manufacturers, and so if we get feedback from users that actually this is still a bit of a problem or a difficulty or it could be looked at, then certainly we'll always take that feedback to manufacturers and work with them to help them improve bus design.
Thank you. Now the next question is from Michael Duffy.
Hello. What is Leeds City Council doing to employ more people with a learning disability?
Thank you, Chair. Michael, really good question. I think it's really important that we break down barriers when it comes to employment. So I'll just talk a little bit about what Leeds City Council is doing. So here at Leeds City Council, we've developed a disability recruitment toolkit for all managers. To drive our recruitment efforts for people with disabilities, we have specifically directed equality, diversity and inclusion focus and guidance into our recruitment approach to ensure support for protected characteristics are inbuilt into our recruitment. We have also developed and lead a programme of supported internships across the city to support recruitment and support young people with disabilities into work. We offer reasonable adjustments as a standard for all our recruitment and selection process. We offer a guaranteed interview scheme for people with disabilities who meet essential criteria. We have more recently provided progressive recruitment approaches and alternative ways of recruitment and selection to support colleagues who are neurodiverse and may not find traditional interview routes helpful. So, for example, depending on the role, we may admit video summaries, expressions of interest and personal statements. Depending on the role, again, we also now send interview questions out to candidates in advance of an interview to support better preparation and for neurodiverse applicants who may need more preparation time. We are intentional and ambitious about our organisation being an inclusive workplace for people with disabilities. So we have a staff network, which is Disabilities and Wellbeing Network, DAWN, which checks and challenges our progress, as well as being a peer support group for colleagues. We have an elected members equality board where elected members champion and check and challenge our progress on equality. There is a specific member champion for disabled people, and many of you will know Councillor Ritchie, who's also in the room. All 2,200 managers in our organisation have been taken through a mandatory equality, diversity and inclusion programme of training. We do monitor progress of representation across all protected characteristics against the city and the census to keep check on our progress. I hope that answers your question, Michael, but obviously happy to have a conversation further. Thank you.
Can I just come back in, Chair? I agree with what you're saying from the council, and I think it's great. But you do have employers in the Leeds City region and the Leeds postcodes regions that will take people on with disabilities. I won't go into my story, but they'll take you on, they'll try and do a reasonable adjustment, but it costs the businesses too much, so they don't feel comfortable. A support centre will give the information to help them. And then they'll keep you on for maybe 3 months, and they'll let you go. So it's a spiral continuation, and for people with disabilities, I just don't think it's good enough.
Michael, I absolutely agree it isn't good enough, and we want to get to a point like the council, and by no means are we perfect. There's more work to be done on this agenda, and ideally we'd like to be at a place where everybody puts in place measures to ensure recruitment is fair and accessible and there's no barriers. If there's anything I can do to support, happy to take this conversation outside to see if there's anything I can help. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Arif. And I'd just like to second that and say, Kenneth, you raise a really, really valid point. But as a caveat to that, Leeds City Council are not responsible for our employers because it's covered under Equalities Act, which is part of law. But as Councillor Arif has just said, I'm sure they'll be willing to help, and perhaps we can build a little network that looks at building that support to bring a package of ideas and suggestions to the council.
Next we have a question from Sapphire Malcolm.
My name's Sapphire Malcolm, and my question is, can people with learning disability fund to set up police support group where we support each other to stay safe?
Councillor Reith.
Hopefully somebody else will talk as well. I don't mind. I think that's a really good question, and I think it's important that you're empowered yourself to be able to make decisions for yourself rather than being told to. So I think I have checked with officers, and I've been told that the Being Safe Task Group of the Learning Disabilities Partnership Board may be the best place to have this discussion on peer support groups, and we can look at funding options that are available as well. Thank you.
Thanks, Alma. Dom, come in.
Yeah, was it actually stuff about setting up a peer support group yourselves and then like kind of running that and leading on it? Yeah. Because one thing that might be interesting, at the next Leeds Autism and Learning Disability Employment Task Group, we've got Liza visiting from Trust Leeds, and she's going to be telling everyone about what are self-reliant groups, how can people start one and they can support people to set up their own group. And that's about, so like with that, you wouldn't look for funding, for example. It's about all getting together. You might choose a cafe, a place that you feel comfortable to meet, and you come together to define what your purpose is, what you want to achieve, why are you there. You could save £5 a week, £10 a week, or nothing at all. But some people set up things like they went in and then did their own craft group to care homes. But it's about people coming together. And as well with Liza, she also runs a course to teach people how to teach other people how to create a self-reliant group. So if you actually became really confident and thinking, yeah, our group's going, we're now meeting regularly, but that might be really good, and I'm happy to connect you to Liza if it's something that you would like to get involved in, because I'm sure they'd be able to help you set up a peer support group. But
Dom, thanks for that.
Thank you.
Next, we have a question from Janet Allen.
Why is more expensive
to eat healthy food?
Other food?
So the question is, why is it more expensive to eat healthy food, isn't it, John?
Yeah.
Does anybody want to?
Councillor Reeve.
Say it again.
Councillor... It's not working. I've got Councillor Reeve. It's not working.
Turn off and then on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, this one's working. Really good question, Janet, because this is something that I'm really concerned about, and I'll tell you why, because I'm a councillor for an area called Gipton and Hare Hills. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Gipton and Hare Hills. It's a really, really poor, deprived area, and a lot of it has got takeaways that sell really cheap food on the high street. And unfortunately, because of the cost of living crisis and people not having the money to eat healthy food, it's easily accessible for them to go to a takeaway and have unhealthy food. Food affordability is genuinely having a negative impact on diet quality, with the most deprived fifth of adults in the UK consuming 37% fewer fruits and vegetables, over 50% less oily fish and in terms of fibre diets as well. So it is something that I'm worried about. From a council's perspective, we take this really seriously, Janet. The Leeds Food Strategy 2023 and 30 and its partnership group which brings together the council and food charities and organisations and the university are working on this issue. A focus on food procured and served by the council being healthy, local and seasonal, with aims to promote low carbon options on menus. As a council, we're coordinating an evidence-based approach to tackling financial inclusion. I think that's really, really important. We also support the Leeds Food Aid Network, which is a partnership of food aid providers, surplus food and providers of support organisations. So those are the sort of things we're doing locally here at the council, but it is a really massive worry. A lot of people are not able to afford healthy food, and it is a concern.
Thank you, Councillor Arif. The next question is Susan. I'm sorry, I don't have a second name, but sorry, Susan.
My question is for the council is, what a councillor like to shadow someone with a learning disability to see what our life is like?
Unfortunately, Councillor Reif, it looks like it's going to be you again.
I'd say that's fortunately for me, and the answer to that is a big yes.
Can I make a suggestion, please, that perhaps Jeff, who I noticed out the back, and yourself could coordinate, and maybe there's more than one councillor would like to do it with different people, and perhaps coordinate with Advanet and come back?
Yeah. Next, we have a question from Jeanette. Johnny Rudette. Johnny, oh no, Johnny.
Just a minute. Good morning, everyone. I've got a question. What can the council do to make sure that nightlife venues are accessible?
I'm going to hand you over to Councillor Erie.
No, do the rest of the panel want to go home? Morning, Johnny. Really, again, a really good question. So, in terms of existing venues, the council doesn't have any third-party enforcement powers, unlike, say, environmental health. But our officers can contact the venue and give them advice on how to provide better access. Officers will meet with venue operators and talk to them about their responsibilities within the Equality Act and share links to the government website which has guidance regarding their duties. Now, for new venues, building regulations set out what access should be. For example, no steps at the entrance and accessible toilets are important. Our planning policy here, policies in the council can also help to achieve access. A good way to find out about venue accessibility is to use the Ewins Guide, which lists reviews posted by disabled people who have been into these bars, for example. Another way to find accessible venues is using the Sociability app, I believe. This group do mapping days in cities and towns, and I believe they have one planned for Leeds on the 29th of August. You can opt to join them on this day and help them. They currently list 30 accessible venues in Leeds city centre. So yeah, hopefully that helps with some of the question. Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you for that. Can we just bring the police in? Because it is about safety on the streets as well in Leeds for people with disabilities.
Yeah, of course, thank you. I can't comment individually on the nightclubs, but Dave covers the city centre, I cover the west. But we do have a licensing team that if you report any kind of crime, hate crime or any issues that you've had maybe in any of the licensed venues or the nightclubs, we can link in with them and make sure that it gets fed back and looked at their licence, the same as they should have CCTV to keep people safe. They have lots of obligations that they do need to meet. So if you have any issues that constitute of a criminal nature, you can always make sure that you report it to the police as well, and we can feed that back. I know every weekend the police have a big operation that runs in the city centre of Leeds, that again is staffed to design to help people stay safe and feel safe.
Thank you. This question is from Gavin Murphy.
Now, you've been saying it to me for years, What can we do to make sure people with disabilities have jobs? Okay.
That's thrown out to everyone, that question, so if someone can answer it. Over to you, Dom.
Okay, I'll go first and recap a bit of what the Employment Task Group has done already and what I think we should continue to do. So I haven't seen Nikki Lyons here today in the audience, but Nikki had done a lot of work with people with learning disabilities around video CVs and encouraging people to create them. And then, so if anyone doesn't know what a video CV is, rather than having it all on paper, you do a short video of yourself saying who you are, why you're good for the job, what skills and talents you've got, and encouraging more employers to accept those. So actually at Volition Forum Central, we now accept video CVs, we welcome them, we've used the Easy Read resources to help people be able to send the video files because they can be quite large. So I'd say to make sure people have jobs, in all of us proactively making video CVs and encouraging more employers to accept them. I'd say to also make sure that people and other people you know are aware of reasonable adjustments. Share them with other people if you're confident to, because sometimes we don't always know what we need and someone might say, actually, this was really helpful for me. And then they might think, I'm going to ask for that when I go to an interview or when I go to a job. And encouraging people that it's okay to say you've got a disability. Like we said, the Leeds City Council offer a guaranteed interview scheme. So if you meet that job criteria, you know, you don't have to worry about some of those barriers in the application process because you can be guaranteed an interview to help put yourself forward. The final thing that I will touch on is we trialled a reverse jobs fair. So rather than being like a standard jobs fair where you go around, you meet loads of employers and that's brilliant, you come home with a load of leaflets and you're like, oh, I've still not got a job, what am I doing? The reverse jobs fair was where you have a stall, employers come and visit you and then they learn all about you and your skills. People Matters were really brilliant on their stalls. They had like these big cards behind them with pictures of what they was doing in volunteering or work and the CVs. So I'd say we've definitely been encouraging and promoting a lot more with employers, different ways to meet people so people can show their skills and talents. I would say to answer Gavin's question really is, I feel like as a city we do a lot to give people good employment support. I think that's great and I think we've got lots of talented people, but I think it really lies now with employers across the city to increase their confidence so that when they work with disabled people they know how to make reasonable adjustments and all of those things. So I think we've done what we can. It's now what are employers doing and how can we support employers to be more accessible and inclusive. But I'll stop taking up all the time.
Thank you, Dominic. And I know we've got Councillor Reeve and First Bus, but before we do that, can I plant something in your head in support of what Gavin said? And it's a bit of a challenge, really, and I'm sure the council, she said, speaking out of turn, will fully support if the big employers can go back and have a look at the actual roles you have in your organisations, and perhaps some of that is mapping across what people actually need to do. I mean, we used to call it core competencies. I'm sure there's lots of roles that people with disabilities can take up, but at the minute there's lots of barriers to those applying. If I can bring Bob in from first and then Councillor Arif. So Paul, we're not having, that's after the break, and you can ask.
No, I can do it now, please.
No, we can't, Paul, sorry.
Well, it's important that I need to say.
Well, let's see if we've got time.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Chair. Hi, I'm Mubs Mahmed and I'm from the HR department within First Bus North and West Yorkshire. A great question posed and Dom came in with some fantastic responses. And at First Bus, we've had a look at all our recruitment policies and our onboarding experiences recently. And obviously, you recognise First Bus with buses out on the road. We have many back office roles as well, including customer service roles, etc. And we are an inclusive employer where we welcome applications from all kinds of people who with learning disabilities, as well as ethnic minorities as well. So what I would like to do is encourage all of you looking for a role or a position to have a look at our careers website and have a look at them opportunities that you could potentially walk into and fulfill. We have reasonable adjustments. We have a flexible working policy that we've introduced as well. So I would really like to encourage people to have a look and start applying for them positions that are available. Thank you.
Thank you. That's brilliant.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I think I agree with your point about bringing together the bigger employers, for example, our universities, our hospitals, in terms of what's happening and what they're doing and doing the mapping exercise. We talked about this earlier, and Dom's mentioned a few things that are happening, but the council run and attend the Special Educational Needs and Disabilities Choices Fair each year. And just a bit of a reminder, the next one's next Tuesday, that's the 25th, Tuesday 25th of June. And Dom, you mentioned about the reverse fairs, job fairs. I think that's really important. We as a council have been asked to attend those. We will be going to those and hoping that we can actually also include them as part of our annual routines as well. Thank you.
Councillor Arif. Thanks to everyone that took part to give the questions and the answers. Paul will come to you straight after the break. We can have a break now for 15 minutes. Can everyone come back at 11:15?
Thank you.
start taking the seats. We're going to start.
Sorry.
What do you want?
Hello, hello, hello. Why is it so quiet? Hello, hello. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello, hello. Hello, hello, hello. Hello.
It's the free flow one now, so
Hello, hello. It's not very loud, is it? Do we get everyone to take the seats out?
Everyone take your seats.
Try again.
Everyone take their seats.
Why is it not loud?
Thanks for everyone coming back.
Hello?
okay.
You were coming back so properly.
We're going to have questions from the audience now, so please, please, please dig deep, everyone, and come up with those tricky questions that you all want to ask. They are going to be timed because we anticipate lots of people will have things to say. So it's 3 minutes each, and I already have 3 people in the list. So the first one is Ian.
Oh, no, can Paul go first? All right. Okay. Our next question is from Ian Buttery.
Hiya, my name is Ian Buttery. There's 3 things I want to ask you. One is people with learning difficulties on the bus, and there's kids on the bus are fighting and swearing in front of people with learning difficulties. And there's another one is we're not safe on the roads because people speeding. That's another one. And today we've got a store at the Leeds Market today. Thank you.
Who wants to answer that? don't know your name, sorry.
Hi, Mubs from First Bus again.
Good morning.
Thank you very much about asking the question, a really good question about antisocial behaviour on the buses. And at First Bus, we continually work in partnership with West Yorkshire Police. Each of our depots has a designated PCSO, and we continue to raise awareness around antisocial behaviour, the effects of antisocial behaviour. And recently, we are working with West Yorkshire Combined Authority and in collaboration with schools across our region, and raising awareness around antisocial behaviour, the effects of antisocial behaviour. But importantly, we're taking an approach of educating and raising awareness and working through education to create a safer, more pleasant travel journey for all our customers and passengers across our region.
I think the police want to answer that question as well.
Thank you, Ian. Yeah, the main thing that I always talk about, and whenever I see you and other people from today, is about reporting crimes, because we do work closely with the bus company and they have some excellent CCTV, generally, not always. But what we find, especially with people with disabilities, is that they feel like they can't report things and they find it difficult to report things. So again, it's just about talking about how you can report to the police. We are there to listen. We can't always find the suspects and we don't have enough of us, but if we don't know about it, we definitely can't do anything. Yeah, go on.
That question, I was on the bus on Wednesday and kids were swearing at the driver. What you can do about that?
Well, swearing in a public place is, and if they're swearing at somebody and being abusive to you or to the driver, that still comes under the Public Order Act. So it is still a crime. And, you know, the driver can report that when he gets back, or you as an individual can make sure we know as well. And I'll give you one of our leaflets that, before to make sure you know how to go on and be able to report it. All right, Ian.
Okay, unfortunately that's the 3 minutes, but can I make a couple of suggestions, what Em and I were just discussing? Perhaps, because we're keen that this event has some real tangible takeaways from it. So First Bus, perhaps we could do some collaborative work with the groups in here so that your understanding of what it feels like for people with disabilities, and perhaps we can work, the Royal we obviously work with you to look at how that can be improved, and similarly with the police as well. So I'm going to write those down as actions. Thank you.
It is from Phil Hawley.
Miss Malone. I've got a question. I've got a compliment. From the start of First Bus, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't believe anything in what you say. Last time I was on the bus, which was a long time ago, and I'm too start there, but this reason is badly, nothing has changed. Whatever you say now, a long time ago, nothing has changed. So whatever I say, I can't see what's changed and what you're doing. But basically, all we get is complaints on First Bus. Now, if you'd have changed, you would have been done these complaints. You would have done them for me, and basically, I don't see any improvement on buses, which you're doing. My second point is, I would like to thank the police force for helping the picnic yesterday. The most helpful, 2 people waved at me, and basically, the most helpful towards the 7 people, and basically, a lot of people that they mistake to the police for no reason. And how police must have seen, woman or man, they've always treated me nicely. I've never had a word said about them. And after the police force, I do a good job, despite what Labour say, and despite what I was able to say.
Thank you for that, Phil. And just if I can just come in, just really quickly, part of the reason suggested that there is some joint work with First Bus and the council and the police and other organisations is so that people who perhaps have had a less positive experience in the past, we can work together to look at ways, because it doesn't always go to top, does it? And everything can improve. But we need to work together to make those improvements.
Thank you, Phil. I think that was a compliment for the police, wasn't it? Thank you. Makes a change.
I want to hand over to Paul Adley now. Paul, over to you.
Oh, that's if it's working. Thank you very much. My name is Paul Adley, defined as a learning disability, and who got diagnosed with Asperger's, which is now called autistic spectrum, in 2011. The first point is to do the hopefully the rollout of the Oliver McGowan awareness training, which is where it's aimed at staff and providers, but we want the general population with people with learning disabilities and their parents and carers to be on board, and people with parents who've got autistic children to be involved, as well as the people with learning disabilities who've got parents, because their learning experience is very vague, even though it's aimed at staff and providers, but they got and our experience of having a learning disability and having autistic spectrum as a lived experience to the training what we do for 20 or 30 people, which will be done by Leeds and York Mental Health Trust and Inclusion North when they tell us it's going to be. So we need people with learning disabilities, autism.
Paul, sorry, we've run out of time. Sorry, we're going to have to move on. Next question is from Sean Webster.
Oh, hello. And I came here last time. There was an issue about the 9:30 people getting on the bus for people with learning disability. What if people with learning disability is working before 9 o'clock? Myself, I'm from Rotherham. In Rotherham, South Yorkshire, Doncaster, Sheffield and Barnsley, unlimited time. They were 9:30 there. I will never get to my job. That way is another barrier stopping people with learning disability getting a job, is the 9:30 starting time for free bus passes. That is wrong. Do another barrier. And another thing, it do issue with people get letters for a post. Now they're going to digital. And a lot of people find that difficult too. You can't go on digital and you've got reading problem, and that's another barrier. Two things need to be looked at a moment.
Who wants to answer that question? Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. That's a really good point about the bus passes and not being able to use senior or disabled bus passes for travel before 9:30. And we know that it's a really big problem for a lot of people. The times that you can use the bus pass is set nationally by the government, by the Department for Transport, and so they say that the bus passes can give you free travel on buses across England after 9:30. When people use their senior or disabled bus person's pass to bus pass to travel, the combined authority reimburse the bus companies for that travel. And at the moment, we spend about £45 million a year on paying for those journeys that people make. And unfortunately, if we were to extend the bus passes so that you could use them before 9:30, it would be more of a cost, and we just don't have that money in the budget at the moment, unfortunately.
It's a barrier, isn't it? It's a barrier for people with learning disabilities to get to their job. It's an excuse.
What's your name? Ladies and gentlemen, Councillor Reeve just wants to say something.
Thank you. I think this is really important, Sean. It's important because it's something that I've worked with. I was part of the Health and Wellbeing Board here in the council. We have an allyship programme, And on the allyship programme, I was allied with a gentleman called David Smith. And this is something some people might in the room may know David Smith, but this is something he's been working on for the last a little while now. I think it is a massive barrier. I do think because of COVID, patterns changed. A lot of people perhaps are not using the bus because they're working from home. So we did set up a meeting with the mayor at the time. Councillor Richard was involved in this as well. We had a steering group and it's called the bus fare for anybody interested. So it's fair for everybody. We did have a meeting with the mayor and the mayor did at that point say she was going to look at it. The issue was, as Erica has said, the cost element of it. But I think it has to happen. I think, and there are other parts of the country. I think Wales and Scotland do it. They don't have it as well. So I'll continue to work on this, Sean, politically, and we'll continue to lobby the mayor on this as well because I think it is a barrier. I agree with you.
It is because in Rotherham and Sheffield and Bondi, 24-hour free bus passes for disabled people.
I'm really sorry, Sean. We need to move on. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Sorry. What is it, David? Is it David? Is it David? Jonathan, over to you.
Can we, all these are disabled people, and I'm not being rude, there's 3 of us from Due Court. I'm always on the phone to you, and there's always somebody that's going to end up coming up the street, either putting a window through or running round, and it's like I'm ringing police up nearly every night, and I'm not being rude. It's just I'm trying to protect the whole of flipping Due Court. And they're cutting through our car park because it used to be a pub. Now, is that for us to deal with, or for you to just keep coming round and checking us and see if we're all right?
Is that for me? Yeah.
Is that for the police?
Obviously, I don't know your individual circumstances, but if you're cutting through a car park that used to be a pub, I think you said, didn't you? That would be trespass, which is potentially trespass, which is a civil matter rather than a criminal matter. But if there's antisocial behaviour, then that is definitely something that the police should help with and can help with. So, you know, I'm sorry you have to call it in, but that is the only thing that we can suggest that you do and that you always ring if there is antisocial behaviour occurring.
Yeah, but only problem is, it's just like at night, everybody's in bed, they're cutting through, and they're going to end up putting a window through. And I have got a disabled wife here, there's a gentleman over there, and there's 9 of us in a block, and I'm willing to keep going at the speed I'm going. All I want is an answer like, I've got to protect 9 tenants, including a member of staff that's on sleep on a night. They're coming through there and they're riding round like an English chicken on a motorbike.
On a motorbike.
And this is where, and I'm not being rude, this is where we've got to get that number plate. And if I take a photo of it, am I in trouble of getting nicked? Because I've taken a photo of a number plate. Of a motorbike?
No, and we do have an off-road bike team as well in Leeds that's been set up and funded just for, and there's PCSOs on there as well now. You know, again, they can put patrols in areas. It might even be that your housing provider or wherever that is there something that they can do that stops the ability for bikes to get through? You know, like I know Councillor Richard's we've worked on things in Bramley before to stop the bikes getting onto the park, and there's things that can be put up, so that might be something that needs exploring.
We're out of time, sorry. Gavin,
can I just suggest that perhaps that conversation can and should be continued after we've finished, but to make sure as many people as possible can ask a question. That's why it's timed, because I know that you don't know about personal circumstance, but perhaps that conversation can continue. And if we can, Gavin?
Sorry. The bank outside my house is terrible. The traffic, the school traffic. What are you going to do about that?
Is this the question for me, Gavin?
Yes.
Okay, I think we've had a chat about that, haven't we, 1 or 2 times? And you live opposite a school, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's very difficult, and it's about the police and probably the PCSOs and the council, because I believe it's double yellow lines,
Yes, it's got a clear
which
sign
the
on
police
there too, there.
don't technically deal with. It's obstruction.
It's got a clear sign on it there.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's really, really rude. And I think the best thing that can go there is people working together, especially with the head teacher, and speaking with parents and sending letters home and saying, hey, it's inconsiderate, it's rude, it can be dangerous, and certainly if people in wheelchairs and pushchairs and things can't get past.
We need to have whether the NTTC team.
Yeah, and we said, didn't we, we'd speak about that after as well.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, okay,
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Our next question is from David Norman.
Me and dark on that. First, me like at the board meeting. Yep. Not lady and me. And me do help that people on buses. Me know about people there like us lot kind of me and me now we need people there to part our team, and we need people on lamp guys in and out on buses, and that is, and we need people there, the part of team, and the network team. Yeah, we need people there, we need people out there, we help people language and network team, and people there, me help support that team. Me just reading guys, me more reading on buses, that is airplane or what, and we need people there, we need people that up and down,
David.
And we've been, and we know now.
We need to move on now. Who wants to answer that question?
David, was your question about how can someone support you with wheelchairs on buses and things like that?
And we need people there to support our team. We do it better. And on buses, and that is. And we need people there.
David, can we give, thank you so much for your question about support on buses. Thank you. If we can give perhaps first bus chance to answer about support.
Thanks, David. A great point that you've raised there. In terms of supporting people with disabilities and as well as, wheelchair accessibility on our buses, all our drivers, including new starters, go through a program of training on boarding and alighting a wheelchair passenger. We continuously raise awareness, continuously refresh the training for all our colleagues as well. And recently, just to elaborate on that, we have now started to introduce wider disability awareness learning across our organisation. and we're working with teams such as autism awareness, and we're having virtual reality programs for our management, which filters down through to our frontline colleagues, bus drivers, about autism and awareness around learning disabilities and experience of passengers with autism on buses, mental health and disabilities. So we are on a journey in First Bus. We are gradually and at a fast pace now improving the support and the awareness that we have within our organisation.
Stop you there.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, people, for bearing with us with the time, but there's lots of questions and we need to try and fit in as many as possible. If I'm being hurried now. If we don't get full answers, we'll try our best to get some written answers back to you. Now,
our next question is from Wayne.
My question's about the bus passes. I'm just wondering, like, for people that want to keep them as they are, they can do, but can we get like an option to get a digital pass, you know, like to use on your phone, and then sit? Eh? No, you know, for the disabled pass. Yeah.
That's a really great suggestion, and I know lots of people do have tickets on their phones now for trains and for buses. It's something that we can look into, but I think I mentioned before that the senior and the disabled person's travel pass, it's a national pass, so it's something that we'd have to talk to the Department for Transport about if they were looking to do something digitally, but I can pick that up and feed that back, and it's a great suggestion. Thank you.
In the blue. Robert, do you want to answer a question? Ask a question.
Here in the black t-shirt.
Yeah, Robert, that's his name. Robert, over to you.
Did you have a question?
Who can help me to live independently from the council? Who would you talk to about housing?
Hi, Robert. Happy to speak to you after this meeting. I've got my cards as well. A couple of people have asked me for it, so anything I can do to support in terms of that, happy to talk about it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay. Thanks.
And perhaps a suggestion, Councillor Reef, and I'm putting you on the spot, is that perhaps we could have a little presentation for some of the groups around supported housing and things like that.
Chair, yeah, I'm more than happy to speak to officers and see how best we can facilitate that so it works for everybody and in the best manner possible. Thank you.
It's the guy in the blue jumper. Now, I don't know your name, so Robert.
My name's Robert. Right, I'm this for me, and I'm talking about with my neighbour. Right, I've been having most hassle with my neighbour every time, been picking on me, calling me name, calling me monkey, calling me cabbage, calling me everything, and calling me brother names, and I want the councillor to come up and have a look with him, because I live in a flat in Gipton, and I'm not having it no more longer. You keep on banging about every time when I'm in bed to 6:30 in the morning and putting chai on, putting washing machine on to 6:30 in the morning, and my girlfriend keep on coming to stop with me. He keep on banging about, calling me name, calling me everything under the sun, and I'm getting absolutely sick of it. I'm shaking. I was with my brother in Gipton, in fire station. I'm getting sick of it and bothered. every time. I phone the police how many times, and police not doing nothing. I phone the council up, and council not doing nothing about it. And so I got with him from my door, in case to get my door in. He kept my door in for words times, and he keep on doing it and doing it and doing it more and more to upset me. And we're not doing nothing. I'm watching television all day because I want the government to come and see him about him.
Thank you for sharing what
Okay,
is
thank you
really,
very much.
really sensitive to you. But what you're describing is hate crime, really. So if we can just get some response from perhaps the police, and maybe Councillor Reeve might want to just chip in as well, if that's all right.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really sorry to hear that. It sounds horrendous. You obviously mentioned that you've reported it, so you can come and have a chat with me after. We do have a hate crime coordinator that covers the East, where you're talking as well. You've got a few things there. You've got hate crime, you've got harassment, and then you've also got what sounds like noise nuisance. And we have Leeds antisocial behaviour team that we work closely with, housing that can give cautions, that can evict people. Unfortunately, you do have to keep reporting, but it sounds like that neighbour needs to lose their property.
Because they keep on mocking judges.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
horrendous.
Right, and we tried to get saved. We can't get saved because they're banning all the time.
Yeah, it's antisocial behaviour as well, isn't it? Drug use, there's all sorts going on.
We told them, and they're not doing nothing about it all.
Okay.
And we can't sit on our own back in it. With him calling me name for window. He calling people niggered and packet and everything.
Yeah, let's not reuse them words, but yeah, if you want to have a chat with me after, I can certainly take some more details from you.
Yeah.
All right.
Maybe. And now we have the guy in the black jacket who wants to ask a question.
The guy with his hand up now. Yeah.
Well, the bus fares will be kept at £2.
The current bus fare scheme is a national government scheme across the country. Obviously here in West Yorkshire, the Mayor introduced a Mayor's Fare scheme, and it's for obviously for them to discuss what continues with that. Certainly, obviously going forward, it's to the end of the year and into 2025. So it remains to be seen what will happen with that, but certainly I'm sure that the regional authorities here, as well as government and whoever comes into power, will be looking at that scheme going forward. But at the moment, it's we have to wait and see what proposals and what ideas come forward, from that, based on the central government and support for regional authorities.
Can I do?
Phil, there's some other people who are waiting to speak. I'm really sorry, but there's some people who haven't had a turn, so we're trying to make sure as many people as possible can speak. But you've got time when we finish.
Our next question is from Michael Duffy. Over to you.
Hi, I'll be really quick. I just want to back up Ian's point and Jonathan, who I get on with very well in West Leeds. I think it's just for Metro and for West Yorkshire Police this. The police side is these electric scooters. What's the actual law? Because in West Leeds we're having a lot of problems with that, and you don't feel safe because they speed up without any warning. And then just for Metro, I've probably talked to you, Erica, about this, so I'll be very quick. Is there going to be a decision about Pudsey bus station? Because you lock it up at 6 o'clock at night, and if anybody with a disability is in the West Leeds area, we've got nowhere to feel safe, and we have to talk to our parents till first bus turn up. Thank you.
Do you want me to go first? Sorry, I'm not an expert on e-scooters by any stretch of the imagination. However, I do know that in Leeds, they are something that you shouldn't be riding on the road. They need to be road legal. I know other cities, I think it's York that allows them, but in our city we don't. So it would technically, if the police found you committing that, then and you're not got any tax insurance, not roadworthy, then it would be seized and taken from you. And they are dangerous. And I am a family liaison officer as well. And sadly, the jobs that I have are dispatched where people have been killed using bikes, so it is a worry. Just on Pudsey bus station, I don't know much about it, but we have had some antisocial behaviour that's been reported, unfortunately, that I can't comment, but I know that we've had a lot of problems where actually the public have been glad it's been closed, so that's all I know about
Can
that.
I just quickly come back in? I know public might feel safe, but for people with disabilities, me and a friend were sat there one day where a pellet gun got shot.
You
with
know, said they
pellet
don't
bullets,
feel safe.
and you report it, but you need to feel safe. And I know First Bus, they can't just come to a stand in that bus station 20 minutes early and let us all on and keep safe. We'd rather be sat on a bus. If the waiting room were ever open, can the bus drivers or the company let us sit on the bus and feel safe with them, with the driver?
In relation to the buses, obviously, Pudsey bus station is one of them areas which is probably a layover, or so we have a bit of time. But in running to timetable, there's not going to be many a times when a bus is going to pull up 10, 15, 20 minutes prior to departure time. But where there is an opportunity, if the bus has pulled in 3 or 4 minutes early and the driver is on the bus, there's no reason why you can't ask the driver to let you on, and most of the times the driver will honour and let you on. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just say a huge thank you to everybody who's asked questions, and if we can show our appreciation to the panellists. And if I can, thank you. You've made today come alive and answered some real stretching questions. Can I just apologise on behalf of Em and myself to the people who haven't had chance to ask their question. We're really sorry, and it's a shame we've got to finish, because I feel we could go on with this much longer. We're not, Phil, we're finishing now, Phil. We're finishing now, Phil. So
I just want to say thank you very much indeed. And when you leave today, you see one of these badges on my bag, you can get one. The lovely imaging over there made them, so you can have one with pleasure. And then everyone gets... There's some lunch vouchers as well, and I'd just like to thank everyone for coming.
if you can just wait 1 second, we've just got a couple of more announcements.
Yeah.
If you want to join the People's Parliament or any of the other groups you've heard from and heard about today, if you can speak to Sam. Sam, if you can wave.
Sam, wave your hand.
It's not a question, it's to sign up for People's Parliament. So there's Sam, if you can speak to him, he'll be able to sign you up. The next Parliament is on the 24th of September. So if everybody can make a note of that, and it's going to be about employment, which we've touched on today, haven't we? So the last thing to say is thank you to everybody who's come. And there's the march to Millennium Square.
Oh, now there's going to be a march to Millennium. And there's going to be a march to Millennium Square to the market at 12:15.
There is going to be some video making, so if anybody would like to be interviewed and put your point forward on the video, if you can just stay seated and they'll come and find you. Thank you again.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.